My face currently feels like I've been run through by Tom Stewart.
Puts it to the top of the square. Oh, beautiful little fist in there by Dale. Crucial centimetre moments.
He definitely has a bit of the Belcho spirit. As I have a bit of the Belcho spirit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the podcast that forgot to wear undies to work this week. In a moment of great shame, this is The Back Pocket. My name is Jack and I am sat across as always from Alistair. How you doing?
Eggplant emoji.
Eggplant emoji.
We have said for years that when are we going to see a penis on the football field?
And we didn't even notice it.
We forgot about it to start the year. We didn't mention it, and then it finally happened. Third game into the season.
Amazing.
Here's
the real first game. And look, he got a sponsorship out of it.
Did he?
Getting a Bond sponsorship out of it.
Good, he
needs good quality undies, apparently. Wasn't Dusty the Bond sponsor as well? So he really is Dusty's heir.
Dusty 2.0.
Except, maybe he'll talk to the media.
Maybe he won't.
Maybe
how to use chopsticks.
Well, they legally have to now. So.
They legally have to learn how to use chopsticks?
No, they legally have to learn how to speak to the media. You only had to legally learn how to use chopsticks if you played for the Gold Coast Suns or Port Adelaide between 2011 and 2020. What a weekend. We had like 3 goodish games.
Yep.
1 okay game, and the rest were very bad.
Yep. Classic AFL is back. You get excited all year, 6 months of waiting, and then it's just, oh yeah.
That's right.
7 of these teams are dog shit, and that means most of these games are dog shit.
And every now and then one of the good teams forgets how to play, or more than one.
Yeah, multiple.
Yeah, it was brutal. Like, Thursday night was insane. Like, quite frankly, it's one of the longest odds on record that a team has won.
Yeah, I think it's in the top 10.
If you measured it from quarter time, I'm sure it would have been the longest odds just about ever a team has come back from. Law was good.
Yeah,
quite good.
I thought their defence held up quite well.
It really did. I mean, I was saying during the week that on paper that was the only line that looked like an AFL football team.
And that was where they launched from.
And Jesus, did it hold up? Well, they had 65 inside 50s against. And
10 goals, 9 goals? I don't know how many goals. The last
32 or 36 inside 50s resulted in 2 goals.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal.
Crushed it.
Sydney, devastatingly short for the second week in a row.
Yeah, that's the game I've gotten written down as the highlight. I think Sydney are going to be counted out because they're 0-2, but I don't think they should be.
Good in both games.
And even if they end up 0-3, I don't think you count them out.
I agree. Like, it's Freo and Perth next. Like, we saw Brisbane last year. We saw Hawthorn last year. Sydney are a good team still.
Yeah.
I thought they were really, really good on the weekend. If they hadn't lost Melican, who knows if that game had gone differently.
Your favourite.
Melbourne, kind of same deal. Like, they probably should have won that game. Who would have thought that Lachlan Keefe, after he's kicking them over 4 in that final last year, takes that mark and just slots it. Delisted over the off-season.
I'm still standing by Melbourne.
I agree. They had no May.
GWS
so
are
just
a top 4 side in the competition right now, you'd probably say, on form, and without the M in Glomp, they stood up to them.
Their backline was really, like, Petty and McDonald
Petty's
were
down
good.
back. Talk about that later.
Petty looked really good again. Down back. It's nice. And then other teams just smashed teams. Collingwood embarrassed Port. Freo played... Well, one Freo player played a quarter.
You can't count out Caleb Sarong. He played a pretty good game.
West Coast... Jesus. North couldn't beat half of the Bulldogs. And... Adelaide just monstered St Kilda. And it's St Kilda were expected to not be good this year, and they're also missing 6 of their best players.
That loss was too bad.
It was horrible.
I've written down Freo, Carlton and Port are the big wolves. St Kilda you can excuse, West Coast you can excuse. North not beating Bulldogs, no one expected that. But
absolutely. I think they're the 3.
They're the ones.
Carlton losing was awful, and then Freo was almost just as bad in a different way. Like, they should have at least been competitive. That was the thing.
They lose by 30 points, no one really cares. It's in Geelong.
But it was the way they
losing
lost.
By
especially, they had, 10, 15 minutes of good football, and then in the last quarter, Geelong just monstered them.
Yeah,
Freo could barely touch it. It was really, really grim from a team that I know I was pretty big on this year, and a lot of people had top 4, so... Yikes. Anyway,
It makes my pre-season predictions look good.
No?
Yeah, out of the 8.
Yeah. If they lose to City this week, whew, big questions.
No, they'll bounce back.
I just think they took the vanilla out of the game plan and they forgot to put the habaneros in. I don't know what was meant to be in there, but
it does raise some questions about J-Lo, but give him a chance.
Rolling
just
contract.
like I'm giving Sydney a chance, just like I'm giving Carlton a chance. Let him cook.
rolling contract. He's on prepaid.
Let him cook. He's on prepaid.
He's not on a plan.
His data is rolling over.
I had a few news stories I thought were interesting this week.
Sure.
The AFL Players Association has flagged that they're very suspicious of the AFL's drug testing systems because the AFL sent a list of names to WADA to test last year, and the AFL Players Association has suspicions that they were players that have been flagged under the AFL's drug policy where they're not meant to be.
That should not be.
The AFL said they didn't do that, but the Players Association is like the players that got pulled aside is suspiciously similar.
That's why you give like fake names.
Fake names,
well.
just like red herrings.
Yeah.
Brad Scott and Ross Lyon both signed new deals with a year left to run.
Yep.
On their contracts,
and then both lost by 70+ points.
No, Brad Scott didn't.
Oh, sorry. You're right.
They were quite competitive, but Hawthorn were always.
I was thinking of the fact that Justin Longmire also did the weird contract stuff.
I understand the argument that clubs are looking to protect their coaches from being poached by Tassie, but I also think it's wildly naive to think that the AFL wouldn't just move that coach to Tassie if Tassie wanted them. I don't think there's going to be any contracts that can protect you.
Remember what happened with Ross Lyon last time?
Yeah, no, probably not.
He walked. He just left.
He just left in the off-season. Just signed a new deal for it.
He kind of just wandered off into the ocean.
This one's a little bit loosely footy, but it's kind of footy tied in because of how the players get there. But in the post-truth, post-woke New America, there's been a class action lawsuit launched in the US about the overrepresentation of Australians punting in the NFL and in college teams by the dad of a player who wasn't good enough to make a college team.
So is Australian hires are DEI, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they say the DEI hires. There's too many Australians and not hiring enough Americans.
Better, America.
Of the 133 schools with a college team in America, 61 of them had an Australian kicker, which is crazy.
If you teach your kids to kick from a young age, that would be better.
Kicking a football, and they don't. One of those is Eddie Maguire's son, the one that's not in the media.
Oh. DEI and a Nepo.
Yeah, did he get into a scholarship or did Eddie pay for him to go to that college?
Probably both, somehow.
Adam Uze's "We lost on expected score" was so funny.
Yeah.
Post-game press, I'm not getting carried away. We lost on expected score. Uze, you just won like the unwinnable game. Yeah, but expected score, I don't know about that.
Let's see how their expected score goes this week against Port. If they
beat Port,
might get into that a bit later. But
does Kane just quit?
Kane Corns. Well, I actually want to talk about Kane Corns. There has always been an oversaturation of Kane Corns in the media, but I feel like he's wearing himself thin already this
everywhere.
year. It's round 1, and he's bringing out opinions like Jack Macrae shouldn't be playing in the midfield. So he had a full-on rant about how he had 33 disposals and was ineffective.
So 20.
He had 12
clearances,
20-something contested possessions, and 7 score involvements. His opinion is 7 isn't enough. He's playing inside mid.
And Dan Houston had 6, by the way. Best on ground.
Yeah. 1 less than Jack Macrae. He's run his gambit already.
So you can only have score involvement if your forwards score.
He's fucking focusing on that. Whoa, broke out a fucking there because I'm mad about Kane Corns. Not a word about Kent Hinkley.
He complained about Ken Hinkley smiling and laughing after the game again.
He's been doing that for 10 years.
And also the players waiting back for 5 minutes to shake Houston's hand, which is insane after he genuinely with 2 years on his contract abandoned them.
I think as soon as the siren goes, who cares? But that's my opinion.
His other one was, I don't know if it was his words because I didn't click it because I'm not going to listen to an SEN radio segment just to hear it. But
I do to laugh at them.
Jamari Ugle-Hagan, Bulldogs defender, and I was like, defender?
Who said that?
He's joining our side. Kane Corns, apparently. He said that the Bulldogs should remove him from their football program so that there's not so much media chatter. And I was like, 1, you are the media chatter. 2, do you think removing him from the football program would reduce the media chatter?
It would increase it.
That'd be the biggest story of the week.
Yeah.
Anyway, good old Kane. He's having a fun time.
It's It's driving me insane. Although I do like that Damien Barrett has launched a code war from Channel 7, which he's still on. I'd like to see that unfold to you. I'd like to see it get serious to the point where Kane Cornes like punches Damon out.
As annoying as Damien Barrett is, he's so like the opposite of Kane in every way. Like he's so like straight down the line, like regular journalism, and Kane's
like,
out here.
When
like,
he says outrageous things, they usually...
He's not saying it for outrage, baby.
No.
He's saying it because he believes the outrageous thing that he said.
He's been Geelong's biggest defender
the
over
least
the last couple of
North-loving
years.
North fan.
He's big on the Chad, and then
Rivals.
Chad comes out and has an amazing game, and you go, oh, I hate it when Damo
God damn
tried.
it. Yeah. Like, imagine if Geelong won the flag and Chad Warner won the Norm Smith in a losing side.
I'd
You'd be
kill
like,
myself.
I'm never here for the end of it.
I'd kill
God.
myself.
I actually think it's a really tough one. If you, like, the most own team hating media guy between Damien Barrett and North and Sam McClure and Carlton,
Yeah.
it'd be a big fight. Like, that'd be a real...
I wouldn't mind it if we just kind of eliminated them all. Like, not like murder, but like, just give them different jobs.
Yeah, give us just, like, the Kaltumis and the Riley Beverages who are just, like, doing
I don't know
jobs.
if you've watched any of the AFL content.
Mitch Cleary also just, like...
Oh, God, no, I've forgotten his name. Played for Port Adelaide, was awesome, then moved over to Hawthorn, did his Achilles, retired recently. All Australian 1 year.
Chad Wingard.
Chad Wingard. I can't believe I've forgotten Chad Wingard's name.
I can't believe I got it from that...
Well, good job.
Yeah.
That's why you do Friday footy quizzes and I don't. His stuff that he's been doing for AFL has actually been pretty good.
He was on the ABC for a while, and I really liked him on the ABC. It was when he was still listed, but obviously he couldn't play.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot of stuff for them, and I always really enjoyed it. He
He's
seemed like a genuinely sensible footy person.
Been quite good. So hopefully he doesn't go down the dark path and become unbearable to watch, but there's one person that...
Something that brought
enjoyed
me a
watching.
lot of joy during the week was that... I've been a big Corbin Middlemass guy for a long time on ABC Radio, cricket and footy, and he did the Adelaide St Kilda game, and I saw so many people being like, man, Corbin Middlemass is good, and I was like, isn't he?
It's just a real shame he's banished to Sundays with the drop kickers.
Doing the Sunday interstate games
Yeah.
that like 20 people are going to watch.
I don't feel like it used to be that bad. I feel like there used to be good games on Sundays.
After watching the St
And there
Kilda
is one
game
this
and
week,
the West
but-
Coast game, I had to have a nap. I was that like ruined by those. I like genuinely. I'm not a nap person. Like this is a big nap household, and I'm not usually that guy. After those two games were over, I went and lay down. I was like, I can't do this. It's just exhausting. Those games were awful, both of them.
It's watching a shit game of football is draining.
Yeah.
And
Unless your team's just like monstering someone, in which case
that's different. If it's your team, it's different.
joy bringing.
Yeah.
Should we go to the votes?
One more thing
One more
before
thing.
votes. The Essendon rushed behind.
Yes.
Ticked off by the AFL because he had
The problem is that the
Time.
rule gives itself outs both ways.
both ways.
I think it's not. I think that there was a close enough man and he fell over.
Yeah.
I think that should be like pub test to me. Let that one go.
Someone referred
Broady
to it
one
as
last
Nick
year-
Watson being 6 metres away. He was on top of him by the time the ball went through.
The Broady one last year, he waited for someone to come into the square.
Yeah.
I think that's different to when there's someone already in there with you. That's it. That's my...
It was really
The
really
other
rough.
one was it in the Melbourne Gita West game, and they tried to handball it to their teammate, and it hit the behind post.
Behind post, yeah.
And the umpire decided that they were trying to rush it behind, so they paid it deliberate out of bounds. And I was like, no, but he was clearly... His teammate was behind the goalpost by the time he got there. Because if he was trying to rush it behind, wouldn't he have just gone backwards?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to do it wide like that. So, bit of a miss there from the umpires, I think.
Couple of them there. Anyway.
Now we can do the votes.
Now we can do the
I just
votes.
wanted to talk about the rush behind.
I'm glad you did, because it was an interesting point of contention. If you didn't listen last week and you haven't tuned in before, how this typically works is we give 5 through to 1 votes, if it's a full round, to the best defender of the week based on actual defender stuff. So like your one-on-ones, your rebound 50s, your spoils, tackles if they're a small enough defender, or just how few scores they kept their opponent to.
Or vibes.
Or vibes. Sometimes it's just a vibes-based game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There were some Ryan Lester games last year where he had like 5 touches and we were like, but he was good.
Yeah.
He was really good.
Good old mode.
So, it's not just keep saying the Froggy stuff. I'm like, it was Mo for so long. And I understand why you're not calling him that on TV. But anyway, I did the intro, so who's your one vote this week?
My one vote goes to Jack Henry.
My one vote goes to Jack Henry. That's very interesting.
I'll let you take it away.
Excellent. Like I said, we've tried to do less votes for the lower ones, so I'll speed through them. But he had 24 touches, 11 of which were intercepts and 10 contested, 14 marks, 3 intercepts, 2 spoils, 3 rebounds, 3 score involvements. And Jai Amos finished with a negative player rating for the game.
You could throw a raffle against a lot of those Geelong defenders, but he was the best of.
Yeah, he was the man. Obviously, Blitzals was busy doing ruck duties in the back half of the ground. And Guthrie was doing Guthrie things, but Henry just held it all together. Currently, he's only 26.
Chris Scott's been saying it all preseason that he's had a full preseason. That's important.
For the first time.
One's picked onto it. No one's like actually gone, hold on, that's dangerous, because he is really good.
But we haven't necessarily seen the best of him yet.
Yeah.
And I was looking the other day, both he and Zach Guthrie are 26, 27 this year.
It's good ages.
That's a solid lockdown for that back line for a long time. And then you've got O'Sullivan, who looked at home on the weekend coming through.
Wait till he plays against a team that actually puts some pressure on.
Yeah,
but
did make a few mistakes under pressure, but nothing that you went, oh, he's not ready. It was just kind of like we see players who've been playing for 10 years make those mistakes. Who was your two?
My two's to Josh Worrell.
Josh Worrell was good. Yeah,
Yes.
didn't have him in my votes.
Okay, so I've written down some of his statistics.
Excellent.
So he ended with a 12.4 rating, which was, I think, the highest of the defenders from that game. He had 5 spoils, 6 rebound 50s, 452 metres gained, and he took 3 intercepts from his 6 marks. So across the board, he was quite good. And, I mean, they didn't really have a lot of pressure on them, so that's why it's on the lower end.
I noticed him quite a few times, like St Kilda going kind of aimlessly inside 50, and he was just always there.
Yeah.
He's got that big mop of hair as well, so it stands
It
out.
helps.
But I did think he was really good.
Yeah, I also just wanted to say Worrell, so there we go.
My 2 votes, and I think this might be a bit higher up for you, but was to James Sicily,
Yeah.
who had 24 disposals, 7 intercepts. Do you want to say the
Oh, well,
stats
I've got him at 5 because that's just how my votes ended up. I kept pushing people
10
down.
rebound 50s, which was pretty nuts.
Yeah.
620 metres gained, 3 spoils, 3 score involvements, all of which were launches.
3 of his 7 marks were intercepts.
And crucially for a Sicily game on this podcast, 90% down back.
Yeah.
I heard you say it, but I was like, I checked that as well. 90%. It was mostly they swung Hardwick forward instead of him. And he was really good, again, as always. He's one of the best going around. And I enjoy watching him play because he's a prick. And also, Caddy learnt what it's like to play on real defenders.
Yeah.
He was good, but he just couldn't get free. He couldn't get space.
He's still not strong enough to...
So that was a big difference. So who...
3 for me is Tom McDonald from the Melbourne Football Club.
Tom McDonald didn't make it in. He's in my special mentions, but...
I remember you saying before the game, you're like, Tom McDonald's good enough. So Tom McDonald, 16.4 rating, which is the 3rd highest on ground overall. He had 6 contested one-on-ones and only lost 1 of them. To go with 6 1%ers and 4 of his 6 marks were intercepts. So, great game. I don't remember seeing any Braden fades really from him.
No, he was really composed, I thought.
And considering they lost the M in Glomp, McDonald slots right in.
He was a replacement M. We're doing Ship of Theseus. So my 3 votes was Jacob Wiedering.
Honourable mention.
Who, despite a couple of late incidents that's what knocked him a bit down.
Yeah.
I couldn't look past 14 intercepts from 21 disposals, 8 contested, 11 marks, 8 intercepts.
He was the only member of that back line that held together.
I think it just got too much in the end, especially when they swung Silvani forward.
Who was the only other one doing well.
Yeah, it really left Wiedering exposed. Yeah. But there was that moment with Traynor on the wing where Traynor out-anticipated and outworked him to the ball, where it was like, that's grim. But if he didn't do that, it probably would have been a 5. He got 4 coaches' votes, I think, as well.
He did get coaches' votes. It's hard to look past the performance, but with the way that game unfolded, I don't want to give anyone from the Carlton defensive line votes.
That's understandable. The way that Richmond kept getting out the back, there was an alarming number scored from inside 20.
It makes me wonder, with the fact that Nick Haynes and Mitch McGovern were so indecisive with their marking and disposal, surely swap one of them for Lewis Young, who can mark but has somewhat iffy disposal.
There was definitely a growing pains thing with Nick Haynes back there.
I
when
think
he was
he will
on his
go
own,
okay.
I think he was a lot better. But when he was around another defender, he just had no There was just no muscle memory of the other person.
I would definitely be taking McGovern out before Haynes at this point.
So who was your 4?
Ben Miller. Same
Ben
game.
Miller was my 5.
Okay, that's totally fair because his game was insane.
Awesome. We talked about him a lot last year, mostly as special mentions because Richmond was getting pumped, and we're like, Ben Miller is really good. I think he won their best and fairest in the end.
Don't know. Could have been anyone.
Had a great year last year. Just looks even better now. Kept Harry Mackay to just 1 goal from those 65 aforementioned inside 50s. 13 disposals, 9 of those were intercepts. He went at 85% disposal. 6 marks, 4 intercepts. He won 5 of 6 one-on-ones. Had 4 rebounds.
I know that they don't give Brownlow votes for defensive games, but if they were going to, I wouldn't be shocked if he popped up with a 1.
It was an awesome game. He was just... Yeah, it felt like he was everywhere when Carlton were going inside 50 at crucial moments. He's tall, he's strong, he's fast. Perfect match for someone like Harry Mackay, really. Which I think leaves my 4.
No, you did your 4, wasn't it, Jacob William?
No, that was my 3.
Okay, yeah, your 4.
My 4 is to Harrison Himmelberg.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who really, especially late in that game when Melbourne were desperately driving it forward, was just in those spots every time, or he was just the guy around the back taking the ball and clearing it from the 50. He had 12 spoils, which was, I think, the highest of the round. 9 rebound 50s, won 4 of his 5 one-on-ones, had 3 score involvements and a launch from 22 disposals. Good stuff. Harry Himmelberg, he's so much more at home down back than he ever was up forward.
Yeah.
He's just that guy now.
It worked.
And Taylor and Buckley were also good. It was just such a clash of great backlines that game. My special mentions, I had all 3 of McDonald, Petty and Lever. Obviously, you gave votes to McDonald, but I thought they functioned so well.
I got Wiedering, Vlosten, and I also have Tom Brown.
I wrote Lewis Melican before injury.
Yeah.
And I thought Braden Maynard was really good, but they just smashed them. So, he wasn't under a lot of pressure, but he played a very, very good game of football.
And before anyone comes at us for not giving Dan Houston any votes, I would like to point you to the fact that it was a mostly attacking game from him.
Almost a wingman.
Yeah. And we are a defensive podcast.
He was best on ground, but he was probably a wingman.
Totally.
That's where I got Maynard in the special mentions, because he played an actual half-back role.
Yeah, we'll have to, because they have Dan Houston and Josh Dacos
and Isaac Quainer
doing the other side.
Yes. Anyway, that was fun.
Yeah, so now we're bounding onto your other segments. It's just listed as other segments. What do you got?
Friday footy quiz.
All right, hit me. I didn't do it this week, so...
Which Swan kicked the opening goal of the year?
Oh, was it Chad Warner?
It was Chad Warner.
Okay, cool. That took so long ago.
How much to the nearest 10,000 has Toby Green been fined in his career?
40k.
That is the nearest 10,000. Okay. 44,000.
I thought it was over 40.
That's
a lot of money.
This is what got me on the quiz.
Okay.
Which was the only club to appoint a new captain this year?
Ooh. Huh. Gold Coast. Noah Anderson.
It was Gold Coast. And the next question is, who is said team's new captain? Noah Anderson. Name the Tiger who performed a backflip after booting the sealer on Thursday night.
Seth Campbell, and...
It was the...
On site, I will take him out.
Coolest moment I've just about ever seen in my life. To stare down the cheer squad until the umpire signalled goal, and then do a perfect gymnast backflip.
It was awesome.
Insane. What's he, 20?
If only his penis had come out.
During the backflip.
That people would be talking about him more than they would Lawler.
Steele Sidebottom and Scott Pendlebury on the weekend equalled the most games as teammates. Which 2 Adelaide players previously held the record?
Shit. Tyson Edwards and McLeod.
Bang. All right. Yeah. How many grand finals during the 1980s featured both Hawthorn and Essendon?
3.
3.
Fuck, I'm killing it.
Which other 3 matchups in round 1 also featured teams that have previously met in grand finals?
Carlton Richmond. Brisbane Sydney. I might have to look at the games because I don't remember all of them. Hold on, sorry.
All good. You got one more.
Hawthorn, isn't it?
Well, that was the original one. One other.
Adelaide St Kilda.
Adelaide St Kilda.
Yeah. I was just looking at GWS and Gold Coast can't be them.
Not them. True or false? When they entered the competition 100 years ago, the Bulldogs were known as the Cockatoos.
I should read articles you post more often. Yeah, sure.
It's false. It was... Well, Carlton had the Cockatoos for a bit.
Fucked if I know.
What do the following players have in common? Jack Steele, Jeremy Finlayson, and Rory Lobb.
Oh, XGWS.
Yes. So we got 9 out of 10, which is, I think, the best anyone got online this week.
That's pretty good.
And I think you got a question wrong that I didn't see anyone else get wrong. So you got like ones right that no one else did. So
I'll take it.
Bang.
I was expecting this segment to go terribly for me over time, but
it's also on the spot.
I'll take a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10, phenomenal.
I remembered who Tyson Edwards was before McLeod.
That's so funny too. I think I got Noah Anderson wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was co-captains before, right? It was Witts and Miller.
And Witts, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Anderson's a great choice. Hopefully
he killed it in round 1.
So stay as well. It's probably part of their reasoning.
I've got written down here, Jonesy Thursday, Friday Night Hero. Segment is dead.
It's dead.
It's dead.
It's dead.
They've been doing it for years, and the first time we've actually turned it into a thing, it's gone.
I did say I'll keep an eye out for it this week. And if it's there, Thursday's a big night for Crips, and Friday's a big night for Dacos. Stocks up, stocks down?
Yeah. My joke one is stocks up, Murphy Reid, stocks down, Harley Reid.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And it's all of the power is in the headband. Murphy Reid has a cooler headband, so his stocks are up.
Yeah.
But my reel is, if you don't have stocks on him already, Bailey Smith.
Yeah.
Stocks up.
Stocks up, Bailey
Back
Smith.
from an ACL, best on
was
ground.
Insane. He played like a genuine team game kneeling too, like it was proper football. I had stocks up, Sam Lawler.
Makes sense.
Stocks down?
I'm just going in general. Port Adelaide.
Yeah, I said Justin Longmuir.
And that was another one that I'm waiting on. I will sell my stocks if they
beat
continue to
Sydney
lose.
this week.
It flips, right?
It really balances it.
But Port Adelaide in particular, when you look at who's actually playing outside of their midfield, it's pretty grim.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, but, Zirk Thatcher. And it's like, Zirk Thatcher's the one you're depending on?
Zirk Thatcher and Radigalia coming back?
Yeah.
Yay, I guess.
Forward lines are
maybe
shambles.
Membry wouldn't have kicked 3 1/4 if those two were playing at least.
Ollie Lord's non-existent. Marshall's obviously horrifically injured. It leaves them
Where
not
is
much.
Lord? Like, what? Why isn't he playing?
Finlayson did well down back.
Yeah.
But you can't really get votes when you lose by that many points.
It's fine. But, like, where's Lord? I genuinely thought that was the thing now.
I don't keep up to date with the goings on of Port, but when you look at the way they played on the weekend as opposed to how Adelaide played, you go, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
They don't have the line breakers outside of that trio of midfielders.
I've got an old segment for you.
Ooh.
Which Big Footy board
Oh, I love this segment.
is this from? This is an excerpt because the bits either side of this was
Give it away.
very clearly saying what team they were. Everything that I've been critical of in the past 5 years was on display again today. Slow starts, poor skills, low intensity, and an inability to deal with pressure. An overusage of the handball which invites said pressure, poor one-on-one defending, patches where our midfielders get dominated, structure all over the place, etc., etc., etc.
Slow start makes me think it can't be Carlton. So I'm going to go Fremantle.
It was Fremantle.
Yeah.
They were not having a good time.
No, and it's funny to bring out their one-on-one defending when that's the thing they've been good at for 5 years.
I was very confused in that game because the last 2 times they've played Geelong, even in Perth when they lost last year, Chapman's been brilliant on Cameron.
And
then he was the sub, and then when they brought him on, they put him up forward.
And Alex Pearce has dominated Tom Hawkins for a few years now. Why can't he do the same to
Cameron? To Neil, well, he did beat Neil, I thought, but Neil got up the ground was the big thing.
Yeah.
And I think that Pearce, who's obviously just coming back from was it an ankle injury? Couldn't keep up with him all day. Neil did a really good job of getting up onto the wing and being that link guy. I think that a lot of people were surprised he got votes, and I was like, I think you didn't watch the game. You just went, he only kicked 1 goal. It's like, yeah, but he also was just constantly that link guy, which is what he needs to be. He's giant. Rucked up forward. But yeah, Freo... Ooh, I had faith. I had a lot of faith. And
I'm giving them time.
They get a few weeks. Much like the Bulldogs, like I wouldn't be shocked if they lose a couple of the next ones, but Bont back in 3 weeks, they reckon. Like if they win one of their next 3, I think they're fine.
You've gone out on a limb with the Dogs this week, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to pick them. Collingwood. Yeah.
Which brings me to Game of the
Game
Round.
of the week. I highlighted 3 games.
I've highlighted 2 because most of them are shit.
I think Carlton Hawthorn has potential.
Yep.
I think Bulldogs Collingwood has potential.
Yep.
And I think my game of the week is Freo Sydney.
Correct. Freo Sydney is my game of the round. It's the only good game that will be on a Sunday for months.
Yeah. It's going to be in that time slot where it's like they've doomed a game and it ends up being an absolutely amazing game and Dwayne is just bringing the house down.
Well, it's Freo, so it'll be Papalia, right?
Oh, it'll be Paps, won't it? Yeah, that's true. I really like Papalia.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Papalia and probably Pavlich.
Yeah, so that's okay. Dwayne will get one of the other Sunday doomed games. What are they this week?
Dwayne, North Melbourne.
North Melbourne,
He will
Brisbane,
have the
West
time
Coast.
of his life
Holy
doing North
shit,
Melbourne.
West Coast at the Gabba, that's going to be brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
You lose to Gold Coast by 87 at home. What are you going to lose to the Premiers at their home ground?
Unfurling their flag. Which, by the way, I don't know how online you guys are, but a certain subset of Geelong fans realised during the week that Brisbane did not gate the votes on when they should unfurl their flag.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, it was going to be an opening round against Geelong, and then that game got delayed, and they went, should we do it in our first game of the year or against Geelong like we were going to? The vote was sitting at like a solid 54% for the Geelong game. And then just in time for the vote to close, it got up to 51% for the West Coast game, and they've honoured the vote. Crazy.
No, I should probably still do it for the Geelong game.
You should, right? And also, like, Geelong is genuinely a proper modern rival of
Brisbane. If they deleted that Instagram vote, no one would care.
know.
No one would care.
Teams do their, like, write our banner every week.
You know what?
And just don't.
Kane Corns would probably go off on his fucking radio show.
Like, democracy. Anyway, but yeah, I think they should unfurl against Geelong purely because they have an actual modern rivalry. They've played in some cracker games in the last few years.
Although it'll feel good to do it against West Coast if it goes as planned.
That's true.
So.
Yeah, you're not doing the Carlton Members Monday the day after. Ooh.
Speaking of Members Monday,
Yeah.
I created a new segment for the show this year, my one and only contribution called Biggest Boilover. And neither of us thought it was possible, so neither of us mentioned Carlton losing as the biggest boilover, which it was.
It was enormous. Like, it was such a, like, beyond the realms of possibility.
I really
Dan Gorringe is called Richmond Gorringe on Twitter now. Like, he's changed his username.
I really hurt my hand during that game too.
It's now Richmond does footy instead of Dan does footy. Zeta made a joke about that tonight.
He got no schnitz?
He got no schnitz. They're closed down. He's getting a souvlaki on the way home.
There's still schnitz, isn't there?
With that one, the one he used to order from.
I was going to say, because I'm getting some next month.
Yeah, you got to.
I'm hoping there's a tribunal on while I'm doing it.
Poor Zeta.
Biggest boilover. What do you reckon this week?
If Port lose,
It's Port losing to Richmond.
Now that we know Richmond can win games. Imagine if you're one of those people who bet on Richmond to not win any games this year, and it's just one game in dead.
Well, I mean, what's Richmond's odds? I know I love gambling according to this podcast. Richmond are $6 now, when I reckon last week they would have been 11 plus.
Yeah. I think the rest of them, like, all of the rest of those games, if one team loses, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Like, I don't think anyone's expecting Carlton to win.
No,
it would be bad if they lose.
You could feasibly understand.
Yeah.
Like, Hawthorn wouldn't boil over if Carlton did win, because they're still a good team. Bulldogs, Collingwood, same kind of deal.
I think Sydney have enough tickets to come back from a 0-3, and I also think Fremantle would be fine.
If they lost to
not great,
Sydney,
but fine.
At least it's Sydney.
Boil over, it's Port Richmond.
Geelong lose to Saints at Marvel, had a good win last week.
That would be funny.
Aren't expected to win, but it wouldn't be a boil over.
I think the big footy board would go
the big footy board
nuts.
They're already pre-season. Geelong fans are like, fucking Freo at home to start the season, always lose those, and then Saints at Marvel and always lose those. Like, Jesus Christ.
It was cursed the moment Freo went, we're good at these games.
Yeah, they posted it. Yeah. They did the, like, days in Geelong sunshine emoji. It's like, fucking settle down.
Yeah, it wasn't sunshine for them, was it?
Pre-season.
I mean, it was really hot.
Very hot. Pre-season, and Justin Omni was like, we just think that training and 35 and 40 degree heat all summer is going to give us an edge if it ever comes to those games. They had the one game in that heat.
They said they could beat anyone. He said that they have the system to beat anyone, and they lost by 78 points. And again, I will say this for the 5th time. I'm giving him time, but
I did also say to you the other day that I think their handball fast game they've tried to develop doesn't work at Geelong because you're just strangled. You can't there's always someone near you. You can't get that over the top when it's just a narrow ground.
I also think it affects their defensive structure, which is the thing they've been good at.
Whereas previously it worked, and it was their highest ever halftime and final time score under Justin Longmuir. Not good. So anyway. I also changed my mind a little on the Saturday footy stuff with no Saturday football. Only slightly.
Why?
I do still think that if you were someone who was so gung-ho about Thursday night footy, you shouldn't be complaining too hard because you always got 3 games a week. You're getting 3 games a week. But I do think that we should have lost the Sunday game.
Yeah, fair.
I think that Saturday night should still be the game that's on TV. I think that if it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday was free to air, we don't need those Sunday games on TV. The AFL hides games on Sunday for that reason. And then the other benefit of that is the games that they typically hide on Sunday are the games with non-Victorian teams, which are the ones that get the alternating free-to-air game anyway.
Yeah, true.
So it would all work better. That's my only... I came back on a little bit. That's my...
Yeah, I remember you being very strong on Twitter and I reading and going, I hate interacting with people online. This could never be me.
Yeah, I accidentally was like, I think the tribunal was right today. And then North fans were like, you don't fucking know anything. I was pretty 50-50 on it, but I thought that the tribunal's explanation was very clear. I was like, it looked a bit unlucky, but they just established, did Archer realise that the ball was going to be picked up before he got there? And he admitted yes. And they were like, well then, you should have slowed down.
Gone.
It's a really simple explanation, and I was like, if we could just use that as the model going forward for those types of incidents, very simple. Like, if you realise that you could have stopped and you weren't going to get the ball, you should probably stop. I thought Scrimshaw might get off purely because I thought 3 weeks was very heavy for what he did.
Gonna happen.
But he still did what he did.
Yeah, the difference is one is considered to be a football act, and the other one is not.
Yeah, the swinging arm, there was very little defending that. I just thought that because the tribunal's dumb and you can't get things lowered, he might go down to 0. But all 3 bans upheld. Tom Lynch one, don't know why they challenged that. That was always 1 week. I saw it live and I went, oh, that's probably a week. And then they gave it a week and I went, that makes sense. And then...
It's Tom Lynch.
It was a week. Yeah, it was Tom Lynch. He said it was...
which is probably why. Probably part of the
He
reason
got pushed into it and it was muscle memory. And it was like, bad muscle memory, Tom. If your muscle memory is to bump a guy, you should change your muscles.
Change your muscles.
Yeah.
It's the official podcast line of the week.
I think that was about it. Oh, Darcy Moore's the new AFL Players Association president.
Yeah, I wonder if Patrick Dangerfield will still be as annoying as he always is.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can't help himself.
No. He's still the captain. I just think that, I think it was a smart thing to do in the sense that Pavlich still had to stay involved after retirement in the handover process of, the next guy coming through. I think it's a smarter thing for Dangerfield to do it now while he's still playing.
Does that mean we're in the last year of Dangerfield?
Last year or 2, surely. But I think it's a smart thing for him to hand it over now while he's still playing, so he's much more available for that kind of stuff. And I think Darcy Moore's a great pick.
How old's Darcy Moore?
He'd have to be 28, I reckon. Could be older than that, couldn't he? Remember when he was a forward?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Darcy Moore... 29. Only just turned 29.
Yeah.
And, one of the genuinely best-spoken, well-rounded guys in the AFL that will annoy... there's a certain subsection of person that Dangerfield into Moore is their, 2 most hated footballers in the country.
It's 9/11 for them.
They're like, oh my God, it just got worse.
I just hope
and now he's woke.
I hope he immediately calls it AFLN.
Oh man, it'd be so funny. But Bob Murphy's pissed off a lot of Bulldogs fans by consistently referring to it since he's come in as an assistant coach as the AFLM program. It's just easier when you work with both to refer to it as AFLM. Because otherwise people will get confused around you. It's just not that hard.
Is AFLW not AFL?
Yeah, it's still AFL. It's still run by the AFL. It's still run out of AFL House.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, I think I'm done. I think I'm out of notes.
I think I'm done and I'm out of notes. It's the story of my life.
I'm out of love. Set me free.
I was going to say I'm so lost without you.
Oh, yeah.
Different vibes.
See, I always think of the very drunk in a bar doing an acoustic set Brian McFadden version of Lost Without You.
That
not
really does sum up your fucking brain.
Yeah.
I think about Brian McFadden.
Yeah,
no one's thinking about Brian McFadden, mate.
The least famous... nowadays, probably the least famous of Delta Goodrem's exes. Do you reckon Mark Philippoussis is more well-known?
Do you reckon if you look him up, it says Delta Goodrem's ex at the top?
Oh, I have to know. Do you reckon he's adopted a football team since he moved over here? He's Irish. Surely someone sucked him into Sydney.
Maybe he's on the NRL.
Brian McFadden with a Y?
I don't know. Ian.
Oh, McFadden.
This is
no, it says Irish singer and TV show host.
Oh, that's worse. I'd rather be Delta Goodrem's ex.
Anyway, R.I.P. Westlife, R.I.P. The Bump,
R.I.P. Schnitz.
R.I.P. Schnitz, R.I.P. swinging an arm into a guy's face after he's marked the ball.
R.I.P. enjoying footy.
Footy's dead.
For me.
Footy's dead. It's all over. And we will see you next week, because unfortunately footy's not dead and there will be another round of football.
Me every week.
I thought I had all the answers, never given in. But baby, since you go, I admit that I was wrong. All I know is I'm lost without you. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be strong without you. I need you by my side. And if you ever say you'll never be